Love being a bulldog. Love doing all of the things. My freshman year, I ended up getting involved in a few different things. I got a job on campus, got to pay the bills somehow, and ended up also getting involved in sorority recruitment, and so went through that process, loved it, loved being a part of Greek life, ended up being the new member educator in my sorority, and then also ended up being the president of my sorority, which you can imagine was a great time, but my plate was full. It was crazy. I had lots of stuff that I was having to do on top of, you're here for an education. Sometimes I would forget that I actually had to do class and stuff, but my life, you can imagine, was not just a breeze. In fact, sometimes it was the exact opposite. From schoolwork, making sure that I was studying for the test that I had to take the next week, to also making sure that I had to do the midterm project, working with a team that, of course, they got to put us in another dang group project, while also I was making sure that I was fulfilling all of my sorority and different duties that I had to do on campus, while also keeping up with the relationship with my now husband, Franklin, and also having to stay in contact with my family because I'm far away from home, and then also trying to keep Jesus as my number one priority, so it's just a lot. And you can imagine, you probably are feeling the exact same way tonight, that the busyness of your life can just sometimes be consuming. Can anybody relate? Anybody? Was it just me? You feel that. You feel me tonight. Guys and girls alike, we all are feeling the pressures. And so I want us tonight to, I'm thankful that we get to come and worship, but I want us tonight to hear from the heart of Jesus what he wants to say to us. And so we're going to read a story about two sisters, Mary and Martha. It's going to be in Luke chapter 10. It's going to be up on the screen if you don't have your Bible, but we're going to start in verse 38, so we'll go ahead and read that. It says, as Jesus and his disciples were on their way to the village, he came to a village where a woman named Martha opened up her home to him. She had a sister called Mary who sat at the Lord's feet listening to what he said. But Martha was distracted with all of the preparations that had to be made. She came to him and said, Lord, do you not care that my sister has left me to do the work by myself? Please tell her to help me. And Jesus responded, I love how he responds. He just says, Martha, Martha, you are worried and upset about so many things, but few are needed, or indeed only one. Mary has chosen what is better, and it will not be taken from her. So Jesus comes to the house of Mary and Martha, and as soon as he kind of gets in and he and his disciples sit down, Mary, one of the sisters, she comes and she sits at the feet of Jesus. And she's not just sitting there, but she's like leaning in. She's heard about Jesus, actually known who he was, that he claimed to be the Christ. She knew that he was the Son of God. And so she was sitting there saying, oh my gosh, I have the opportunity to be able to sit with him. Holy cow. But Martha, on the other hand, baby girl is Miss Hospitality. Of course, she knows that stuff got to get done, and so she's about to do them. Whether Mary's going to help her or not, she knows it's got to happen. And so I can just see Martha, because this is so much like me whenever I have so much on my plate. I'm literally going, she says, she's in the kitchen, I can imagine, and she's getting all the stuff done, and she's getting all of the things, and she's making sure that she's got everything in the oven while also making sure that the bread's getting on the plate. She's got all of these things, and the more and more that she does and prepares and works, the more she gets distracted, preoccupied, the more that she does that, she starts thinking, where is my sister? She forgets who's in there. She's going, walking past the door, going, hello, does she see me? She's sitting over there with Jesus. I know he's awesome. He's really great, but, we have stuff to do over here. And so she goes, does what all good big sisters do. She doesn't go talk to Mary. No. She goes to talk to the authority. She goes to talk to Jesus, and so she goes up to Jesus, and I can feel her. She's probably worked up, and she's saying, Jesus, hey, can you come over? Can you tell my sister I'm working away in here? Can you please come tell her to help me? I've got so much to do. I really just need some help getting all this stuff done. And so I just need you to help me. And I can imagine she's fired up, but how devastated she was whenever Jesus responds to her and says, Martha, my sweet Martha, hey, Martha, calm down here. You're missing the point. Yes, what you're doing is good stuff. It's good. I mean, you've got to get it done. You do. You really do. But honestly, more than anything that you can do, I just really want my heart for you is just to be with me. He said, my heart and my desire is that you would come over here, you'd sit at my feet. I love you, Martha. I mean, you hear him, he says, Martha, Martha. I can imagine. I mean, he's just like, you say it once, you kind of mean it, but like, you say it twice, you really mean it. So he loves her. He said, I want nothing more than you to come and spend time with me. You see, Jesus' heart for Martha was just to be with him, to sit in his presence, and to remain with him. And here's the point for us tonight, PL College. Jesus is looking at you, and he's looking at me, and he's saying the exact same thing. As I was reading this story over the past couple of days, I just began to pray and write and journal and just say, God, how many times do I just forget your heart for me, that I lose sight of just sitting with you? Your heart for me is not really to do for you, although there is a time for that. Ultimately, one thing it said was worth being concerned, and that is being with you. And so maybe you find yourself tonight, you're here going on 2 months into the semester, almost halfway. I think some are already starting to do midterms, which is mind-blowing. I can't believe that y'all are doing that, but you just feel like you're drowning. You're trying to keep your head above water. You're trying to do all of the things that you have on your plate. You're running, but you feel like you're getting nowhere. Come on, guys. I mean, y'all feel that? I mean, it's just a lot. You're feeling all of the pressures of the world, and you just need some help. You're desperate for some type of relief, and can we just offer you a space of hope tonight? And just remind you that Jesus says, I'm with you. He says, I'm for you. And I don't know what you walked into the room with tonight, but Jesus looks at you, and he says, come to me. He says, tell me what's on your heart. Invite me into your situation. Come on, hey, come over here. Sit with me. Be with me. Tell me about your situation. Sit with me and allow me to carry you through. This is what Jesus is inviting us into tonight, being with him. And then here's what I'd love for us to do tonight in the next few minutes. So just give you 2 practical things that you can do to help you in your day-to-day life to be with Jesus, to prioritize being with him. And here's the deal, a disclaimer before we get into those 2 points. I was listening to a sermon last week, and the man that was preaching, he said this. He said, I think the temptation for many, if not most college students, is to say, I've got so much going on, I just need to set aside church, and I need to set aside Jesus just for a season to give myself enough time, enough space for me to grind through all of the things that I need to do, get all of the responsibilities off my plate, and then, whenever I have less things to do, then I'll pursue after Jesus. Then I'll get back to just sitting with him. I don't have time to sit. What you mean? Then I'll get back to Jesus. He said, if you're doing that tonight, can I just tell you and warn you that if you're trading your relationship and sitting with the Father for doing all of the things that you need to get done, you've made a really, really bad trade. Jesus is saying you can get so busy with life, you can do good things, really good things, even Christian things, and yet still miss me. And I don't know about you, PL College, but I don't want to miss Jesus. We've got a crazy, crazy world, and I just feel like the one thing that's just on my mind tonight is there's nothing more important than Jesus. I know the problem that you're in, the thing that you're going through, the class that you're having to take, the project that you're having to do seems like a lot. You've got a lot of pressure on your back of the different expectations that you have. And can you just take a moment to just step out? Here's my situation, I'm right here, but I'm going to step out of my relationship, out of this, and just realize there's nothing better than Jesus. We got a whole world out here. And yet Jesus wants to sit with you tonight. So the first thing for us is just to create space and make room for Jesus each day. The first part of this takeaway is to just create physical space. Physical time and space for you to have no other focus except for resting in Jesus. For me, this is a concept that I'm not only learning in my spiritual life, although I am learning it in my spiritual life, but I'm also learning it in my relational life. I mentioned earlier pretty quickly that I'm newly married. I'm like 3 months or 4 months into it. I guess if I made it 4 months, hopefully I can make it a lifetime. We're going to see. I'll keep y'all updated. But I have come to realize that time spent together with Franklin does not always come easy. For me, I'm having to do a lot of different things with my job and really pursuing a lot of people, getting coffee with people, getting lunch, breakfast, dinner, you name it, I'm probably doing it. We're always getting ready for the next PL college. We're trying to figure out what snack we're going to have, and also needing to make sure that we have all the stuff ready for Wednesday, but also Sunday too. And so your mind is just constantly going. My mind is constantly going. And unfortunately for Franklin, it's no better because he works for an SEC men's basketball program. So you can really imagine that his life is not super free. And so if we're not careful, time spent together can just kind of go out the door as we pursue all of the things that we're doing. And so the same is true so many times for us in our spiritual life, for me, for you. We're running, we're sprinting, we're doing all of the things, but we forget sometimes, we lose sight of just sitting with Jesus. The second part of this takeaway for just the first takeaway is to make room. And so make room like within your spirit as you get to that place, as you find the place, wherever that is for you. It's for you to sit alone with Jesus, for you to sit and hear from him. You might not feel him at first, but the more you practice this and set your mind on Jesus in this space, the more you will begin to sense his presence as you find the place and prioritize getting there each day, making room for him in your life. You'll start to notice that the distractions in your life get a lot quieter and God's voice gets a lot louder. Psalm 34, verse 8 says, "Taste and see that the Lord is good. Blessed is the one who takes refuge in him." So come on tonight, Peel College. Escape the craziness, the distractions of your world, and pursue after Jesus. Pursue after giving him space in your life, time and space in your life to come and sit at the feet of Jesus tonight. And then tomorrow, and then the next day. And the next day. It's a constant fight. I don't know where that place is for you. It could be maybe in your car before you go to class. It might be out on the drill field whenever it's beautiful like it was today. It might be out in nature, maybe at the refuge or something in your car. It might be just you sitting in your room at the end of a long day, or maybe just on your front porch and on your swing or something. But find that place for you. I debated on whether or not telling y'all this because it's a little bit embarrassing. But my freshman year, I kind of had a really hard time really finding my place. I know a lot of people can relate to that of just, I'm super outgoing, love to meet new people, but also it can just be hard. You've got so much going on. You're kind of like thrown out to fend for yourself. I grew up going to a private Christian school, and here we go with like 20,000 students, and you're supposed to make friends automatically. It was just a lot. Anyways, and so for me, my freshman year is a little bit weird, but if you go into my freshman dorm, my dorm is my bed is the one that's pushed up against the wall. As you open up the curtain, because you got to have a curtain under your bed because you need to hide all the things. You got to have it. Anyways, but my place, it was so weird, y'all. I'm sorry. But was literally down underneath my bed, you could see all of the light. I had blackout curtains above that, but underneath, you could see the light. The light would illuminate. And I, on a hard day, would search for that place. And I would go there, and I would listen to music, listen to worship music. I'd write and journal. I'd write down lyrics to songs. I'd tape them up against the window. But just go to a secluded place where I could just be alone with Jesus. I know, it's weird. It's probably not going to be underneath your bed for you, but just find that place. This is as practical as it gets. Tomorrow morning, whenever you wake up, will there be a space, a place, and a time for you to be with Jesus? The second thing for us tonight is just to receive from Jesus. We get to this place, we make room for him, and then also Jesus wants to deposit some things into your life. Do you know that? God really does care about what you're going through. He really does care about you in general, and he just says, hey, make space for me because I have something for you. And so as you get to that place, as you still your soul before Jesus, just sit before him, tell him the things that are on your heart for just a few minutes. And after you've told him what's on your heart, sit in stillness and silence and ask God to speak to you, to revive your soul, to fill you up. He's faithful to be there for you. About 2 weeks ago, I was coming to church really early in the morning on a Sunday. We have to be here. We huddle up or like circle up at 6:45. So I got to be chipper and ready to go at 6:45. So I'm driving to church. And honestly, we've been, over the past month, we have been walking through something as a church called P28, which is where for 28 days of February, we're supposed to pray for one thing for 1 minute at 1 o'clock every day. And so for me, of course, being just like I am, instead of praying for one thing for 1 minute at 1 o'clock every day, I started praying for about 4 things for 12 hours every single day. And just that Sunday morning, I just started feeling the weight of the things that I was praying for, things that I really wanted to see God show up in and move, while also having to go about my day of feeling all of the different pressures that the world brings you, all of the different things that I have to do. And I just was driving in my car, and I just started praying and saying, God, do you really care? I mean, like, I know that that's like a good thing to say, that you care about me, but like, do you really care about the things that I'm praying for? Why am I even doing this, honestly? I know that your promise is to be faithful, and I believe that you will, but God, I need you to give me the strength. Whenever I don't believe for me. I mean, like, give me that faith. Help me to depend on your love. So as I got here, ended up doing kind of what I do. I greet normally the first 2 services, and then I'll come in and have church for myself. And so my dad was preaching on hearing the voice of God. And of course, the first time I hear that, I'm like, great, this is exactly literally what I need to hear today. And towards the end of the sermon, it was so awesome. Of course, he does phenomenal every time. I don't know how he does it. I mean, it's unbelievable to me. But as he ends the service, ends the service a little bit different. So he goes ahead, he closes everything out, but then he's just sitting there and he just says, we're going to end a little different. We're going to have a song sung over us, but I want to give you time and space to be with Jesus. I mean, literally what we're talking about tonight. And just still your soul. So he led us through kind of the process of doing that. And for me, I'm just still kind of feeling the weight of everything that I had been feeling as I was coming into church. And so I just did what I do whenever I'm real desperate for Jesus. And I literally am like in the fetal position over there in my chair. And but really just praying and saying, God, I just really need you. There's a lot that's going on in my life. I mean, so many different voices that are calling at my name, and yet, Jesus, I just really, really want to hear from you. And so I just started getting a little bit overwhelmed, a little bit emotional, and they ended up closing the service, and Dad kind of like basically was like, this is going to be a little bit awkward, but like y'all are dismissed and y'all can leave. So we just kind of left in a worshipful tone, and I just thought in my head, I'm just going to sit over here for just a minute. I'm going to let everybody get up, and I'm going to leave, and I'll leave after them. And just about that time, I'm sitting there. People are starting to walk out, and this man comes around, and I've never seen him before. Don't know who he is. Still don't know who he is. But he just looked at me in the eye. I'm like, hey. And he just looked at me, and he just said, I just feel like I need to tell you that God cares about you and that he hears you. And I was like, holy cow. I needed that. I had heard that my whole life. I mean, I'm telling so many other people that throughout my days, but like I needed to hear from God. And as soon as I, of course, just stop and turn my eyes, I get still. I mean, I can pray to him. I can tell him a lot of things, but as soon as I still myself before Jesus, he's faithful to show up. So a man probably won't like come up to you every time that you still yourself before Jesus, but he will. He is faithful to remind you of his promises, that he loves you, that he cares about you, that he sees you in the storm. He's got a literal whole world and universe that he is like holding in the palm of his hand, and he like zooms in on you and he says, I love you. I see you. So as we sit at the feet of Jesus, may we find strength to keep going. May we be reminded that he does not want us to live a life and fight our battles by ourselves. His heart for us is just to be with him and to receive from him. John 16:24 says, "Until now you have not asked anything in my name. Ask and you will receive, and your joy will be made complete." Matthew 7:7 says, "Ask and it will be given to you. Seek and you will find. Knock and the door will be open to you." Jesus is saying, seek me and you will find me. Open up your hands, receive from me. But here's the tension in the room. Is that many of us, sometimes we go through these times in our life when the idea of receiving from Jesus is hard and we avoid it because often we don't like to hear what he has to say. And so we're going, Jesus, I'm halfway listening, but let me close one ear because I really don't want to hear everything that you have to say for me. Maybe it's about your relationship or friendships or all of the things that you're a part of. So we avoid making room for him because honestly, we don't want to receive. And tonight, my simple truth for you is that his way is better. He looks at Martha and he says, Mary has chosen the thing that is more important. It's better. Yes, I see that you've got lots of stuff that needs to be done, but choose this. It's better. Choose to be with me. I'm better than those things. So maybe he's calling you out of the relationship or particular situation because he loves you. Receive that. He's calling you out of maybe into a different job path than you planned because he knows that it's going to lead to blessing, so receive that. He's calling you maybe to create distance from the normal crowd that you run with because he has a way for you that leads to life, joy, and fulfillment. And though it may be scary and though it may be lonely for just a small time, receive it. Mary chose what was better. May we, come on, Peel College, may we choose what is better, and that's Jesus. His way is better for us. So we're learning from our girl Mary tonight to be people that don't just go, full sprint ahead. Here we go, got all the things we got to do. But may we stop, may we slow down, hear the voice of Jesus calling us, and know that being with Jesus is far better than doing for Jesus. Receiving from Jesus is where it's at. This past summer, my family took a beach trip, and if your family is like mine, we love the beach, but we know that the best time, the most peaceful time to go to the beach is early in the morning before everybody gets there. The water is slow, the breeze is blowing, the sunrise is just barely making its peak. It's pretty. Can you envision that with me? Peace, serenity. But I think so much of our lives can be spent about noontime at the beach. Seagulls are swarming, you're running around, kids are running around trying to get sunscreen on them, and the waves are crashing, and the wind is blowing, and sand is hurting you literally because it's so the wind is just so strong, so it's literally, ow, okay, can we please stop with this for a second? And can I just tell you, we're painting a picture of this peace and the chaos. And I'm here to remind you tonight that Jesus' intention for you in your life is the peace. It's the serenity. Never in a big hurry, because you know that your King is in control. So that comes from a place of being with Jesus. Psalm 23, 1-3 says, "The Lord is my shepherd, I lack nothing. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside quiet waters. He refreshes my soul." Let him refresh your soul tonight. Be with Jesus. Receive from Jesus and go be Jesus. I want us to end tonight of just creating space in your own heart and in your area right now of just closing your eyes. maybe get comfortable for yourself. You might have to scoot over a seat or so from your friends, or maybe you feel like you want to get on your knees before Jesus, and would you just invite him into your heart? Tell him what's on your mind. It's literally wild that we get to be here tonight and to sing about the King of Kings, the God that loved you and loved me so much to send his son Jesus to die on a cross for me and for you. He did that for me. He literally looked at me and he said, I'm dying for her. We'll take on her sin. Because he loves us. He took on the cross, buried and resurrected so that we might have life. And in your life right now, it might not seem like the beach and the peaceful situation. Seems like there's a lot of chaos, and Jesus is inviting me and he's inviting you tonight to come and to be with him, to take refuge in him. But God, that paper, God, that relationship, he's saying, I got it. I got it. So would you just receive that tonight, that Jesus has you in the palm of his hand? There's nowhere that you can go that he has not gone first. He's with you. Lord, I just pray tonight, God, a lot of times we know so much about you, but God, we forget who you say we are. That you call us son. You call us daughter. And you want nothing more than to be with us, for us to spend time with you, God, so that whenever we step out of that moment, we don't leave you where we find you, but that we walk in a way knowing that you're with us, Jesus. Even whenever the waves get loud, even whenever the breeze seems to be too much, God, you're there with us. So God, we receive you tonight. We love you. We praise you. Thank you for your heart. In your name I pray. Amen. Amen.